Hey, welcome back to another channel. Today Welcome back to another video. Today we're gonna be reacting to Christian debater, cooked leftist feminist, and heated debate on morality. We'll see if it's cooked. But y'all subscribe, turn on post notifications, and we hop right into it. Let's get it. Let's go. Fuck, man. Hold on. 1 second, y'all. Keep on forgetting to do this shit. What I was doing, I'm gonna pour me a little bit of wine. All right. Pretty boy. Okay. Now let's get it. Let's go.
Because I personally don't think that it's okay to.
So it's just a personal belief. It's just your preference that.
I think that. So are we going to switch to a morality debate, or do you want to stay on the
It's all the same thing.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No,
It all. Again, there's only 3 legs to worldviews. Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, then go into morality.
No, I don't want to go into morality.
We are. We are.
No, this is a free will debate.
Exactly. So. Well, morality entails free will. What are you talking about?
No, you don't have to talk about
Yes, morality. You do.
You do not need to talk about
Yes,
ethics.
you do.
This is like, you can talk about this from purely neuroscience, like, or you can talk about it from philosophy.
You can't come here and debate determinism and then refuse to even engage with morality and ethical discussions.
Okay, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I feel like I haven't been able to. What causes people to act the way that they do?
Shockingly enough, what causes people to act what they do? All right, that was the question. They both actually probably make a good couple. If you look at them, I know they both disagree, but they look like they would look good together. I don't know. It's weird to say, but I don't know. But I don't think either of them would ever date each other. But they look like they would.
Series of factors. They have their own human agency. Again, nurture and
any proof evidence of that?
Will you let me freaking talk? I say one sentence and you're already cutting me off.
Don't finish if you can. Go ahead.
So again, there's multiple factors that contribute to the way that people exist in the world. Human agency, again, nature and nurture. All these things are included. It's not one or the other. And the idea that we have to just restrict our defense to just one particular one, that's ridiculous. That's not how the world works. It's both and.
Okay.
There's multiple factors that contribute, that shape to a human person, their parents, trauma, environment, genetics, all these things are included, but that doesn't deny that people have human agency and free will. And so if free will doesn't exist, you cannot make any moral claim, because nobody is morally responsible, nobody is ethically responsible. And this would be true for the history of injustices, this would be true for the patriarchy. Can I finish a thought? That would be true for patriarchy, that would be true for SA, that would be true for reparations, that would be true for slavery. All these things entail that there is some type of moral arbiter that differentiates between good and bad.
Okay.
Your worldview does not allow that to even occur.
What is this human agency? Like, can you just define it for me? I'm clueless. What is that?
Yeah, for me as a Christian, it's being made in the image of God, Genesis 1:26.
All right, so it's being, every human has this human agency. It means you're made in the image of God.
Correct.
And
what you want to do is save hundreds when Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance.
Oh, bad, y'all.
That's great, but can you ask your...
Made in the image of God.
And God gives you this human agency, correct?
Being made in the image of God, yes.
All right. So if every person gets this human agency, they're given at birth, essentially, right? So what makes some people's human agency act differently than other people's?
We just said there's a whole contributing list of factors.
All right. So the other factors you labeled had to do with nature and nurture, the biology and the environment. You talked about
those are included.
Right. So if these two things that we agreed already are fixed, right? Our biology.
They're not fixed.
Yes, they are. You don't control the biology that you inherit.
Your environment changes.
You control the biology that you inherit.
Well, biology. Biology is fixed. Okay, your environment is not fixed because you can change environments. So that was a dumb argument.
Like, if they slow it down, you'll see like they're both kind of winning, but she's winning more. Is biology fixed? Yes. I know where she's about to go with this. I'm gonna let her go there, but I know where she's about to go with this. If he goes where I think he's gonna go, and I'm gonna wait, but like I'm not gonna say it. But if he goes where I think he's gonna go, then she kind of has him. If biology's fixed and God gives us a nature, then why is everybody's nature different? It should all be the same if we're getting the same nature.
You guys, that was a dumb argument. Let each other finish. Go ahead, finish.
That was a dumb argument because biology, but we're talking about nature and nurture, and so environments can actually change.
Okay, so your biology is fixed, right? So what would make someone want to change their environment? Just like, give me an example.
They want new scenery.
Why would they want new scenery?
You tell me. You have to ask them.
No.
You have to ask them.
Okay, right. So if we were look at the reason why someone has a preference for new scenery, we can look at things like just like what they're like kind of exposed to at a young age. For example, like if they grew up around beaches, maybe they would like beaches. Or it could just be like the things that they've been shown like through TV, media, etc. All this stimuli. However, at this young age, where all these core beliefs are being like kind of taught to you and instilled in you, you don't control any of that, right? Your preferences are made at this like a younger age. We see this idea of core beliefs come up a lot in psychology, where like your deepest beliefs about society and yourself, who you are, this illusion of free will, and the self comes about a lot of times when you're younger, right? So even now when you have the agency now to change environment, which you don't really have that agency when you're like 2 years old, let's say you're like 20 and you can move, that preference that we're talking about to change scenery or to fly to Paris comes from determined, right, like circumstances. That's what we're saying. In any given event, we keep asking why you wanted this thing or why you did this thing. It is either coming from like some internal, like some nurture, right? Something like that has been like experienced, or from someone's biology. That's what we're saying. And once again, this human agency, you haven't explained in any regard how this thing, like if it's once it's, first of all, if it's given to you from God, how is it yours? Like, how did you choose your human agency? Number one. And number two, when we look at how it interacts with your biology, if biology affects your human agency, we know that's fixed, that's already out of your control once again. So it comes down to...
So it doesn't mean that, again, that...
I want you to know that he knows she's killing him. He knows that. That's why he's sitting there quietly, patiently, because he's understanding what her argument is on determinism. The thing about determinism, the conversation of determinism and free will, they both can be true. They both can be true. That's why it's a philosophical conversation. So to completely discredit the fact that free will can't be real, or to discredit the fact that there could possibly not be free will, we might not have choice in the agency in what we do, choice in the human agency in what we do. It's interesting enough, the question she asked him, how do you choose your human agency if God already gave it to you? That means it's determined. She's dropping bombs here. Like, how do you determine your human agency if... No, how do you have free will if God gave you your human agency? How?
But that's a non sequitur. There's a logical non sequitur to say just because your biology is determined that limits or curtails all human agency. That makes no sense.
What is human agency? It's your
the ability to have free will, the ability to make decisions, rational deliberation, moral responsibility, love, these types of things actually insinuate free will.
You're begging the question in defining free will. Free will is free will. Agency is agency.
That's not begging the question.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Human agency and free will mean the same thing. Can you give a distinction?
Oh, exactly, but my point is...
So you're saying human agency is human agency?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
And you're not explaining
I'm saying human agency...
any reason why we have that.
Okay, I'll make an easy argument here. You cannot have rational deliberation, you cannot have moral responsibility without human agency and free will. And therefore, let me finish. And therefore, you can actually not have a universal epistemology or make universal truth claims. You cannot make moral and ethical truth claims. Which is the point, and that's why you're already shying away from getting in any type of moral ethical debate, because you have no leg to stand on in regards to deliberating and differentiating why white people did this in history, why this is bad and this is unjust. You have no basis to actually define those.
Okay, so once again, you still have not proven why it exists. You're saying if it doesn't exist, then this.
Exactly.
That's not an argument.
She's a hell of a debater too, though. He's good, but she's a hell of a debater too. She took it right back to where she knew she could win, because he's right. On the moral ground, determinists have no leg to stand on, because you can't justify your morality if you don't believe, because most determinists don't believe in a God. Some do, some don't, right? But you can't justify your morality if you don't believe in a God. No, I can't say you can't. It's harder to justify your morality if you don't believe in a God. Whereas he can justify his morality by saying everything is chopped up to God. And if they go to a moral conversation, then she would have to explain determinist view through a moral landscape, and that's somewhat almost impossible. So that means that our morality is biological. Like that would be hard to debate, your morality being biological.
That's actually logical.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Anyone can like go ahead and like pull up their...
You can't have knowledge without it.
So,
you cannot have knowledge. You cannot sit here and make knowledge claims.
A reason would be some type of evidence or proof that something exists.
It's to the exclusion of the opposite.
Nope.
Yes, it is.
Man.
So to give a reason for something would be, oh yeah, human agency exists because we can look at this and this proves it. Or,
okay,
you know, we can
neuroscience.
Look at...
The arguments that demonstrate when people reach a threshold, they're able to stop that.
I didn't get to finish. Thank you. So...
God.
Okay. Anyway, so when we look at human agency, you have said that the outcome would be blank. We can talk about moral responsibility. I would love to do that, but human agency has still not been evidenced by you. You're saying that neuroscientists have found, right, that I don't actually know how your neuroscience. We can actually talk about your neuroscience claim.
To the exclusion of the opposite. These are using laws of logic, right? So if free will doesn't exist, you can't have knowledge claims. If you can't have knowledge claims, then if there is knowledge, therefore free will exists. That is and again, I can just use easy syllogisms. Do you have a syllogism for determinism? Do you have a logical syllogism that actually demonstrates?
Actually, I do.
Okay,
I have one in relation to God, but I do want to touch on this neuroscience point. How do you think that neuroscience entails or like free will?
Because there's been multiple experiments. This is, again, getting back to David Schurger's 2012 article, RP as Neural Noise, have demonstrated that when these neurological effects reach the cascade point, that a determinist would say, okay, now they have to do the action. We have multiple experiments to show that people can choose not to. And the fact that they can choose not to do it demonstrates that they have some type of agency against the deterministic framework of the brain and neurological processes that you would argue.
I gotta read what he's talking about, but how though? Because you really couldn't determine what action they were going to take. Were they actually going to listen to whatever action they were ordered to give, or they were going to reject whatever action they were ordered to give? That is somewhat a little bit impossible to actually determine. So, I don't know. I don't know where he's going with that, but let's keep going.
Saying that you are bound by, like, your inherited...
It depends on who you're talking about. You're making a generalized claim. Okay, so don't say determinist then, because actually many determinists do. When you come to this debate and you give me, like, some type of, like, refutation, it's, like, tailored to me and, like... Well, like, you have heart... Right? So, you've made some general, like blanket, like statement and said it replies to, like, determinists. Well, that just demonstrates human agency. You asked me to demonstrate human agency. Multiple neuroscience arguments do that. You just asked me to demonstrate your agency. Multiple neuroscience arguments have done that.
This like Andrew Wilson debate tactic is so old. There's so many
Wilson debate tactic?
But anyway,
what are you talking about?
So back to what I was saying. So in regards to like determinism in of itself, not all determinists have to entail that like. I don't think any determinists entail that like you can't act differently than like in some way like your biology predicts. That's not true. And also,
actually, there are some that do.
Well, that's not me. You're.
I didn't say that. Anyway, did I say some that do, or did I say Xena?
If you're bringing in an argument, it should be a refutation against my point.
I'm saying generally regards their argument. You're talking about determinism. You're talking about determinism. I said determinism, generally speaking. All right. Okay. So keep up. You're like 3 steps behind.
Okay. So when we talk about when someone acts against any type of like biological stimuli, there's still a reason for that is going to like bottom out in nurture. So that what you just brought up is not a refutation against determinism.
It is. The entire field of neuroscience, this is why they believe that there's human agency. This is why the philosophy of mind has adopted emergentism and believes that human agency is an irreducible fact.
Someone choosing against
so you're saying that's not the case in the philosophy of mind right now.
I'm saying that what you're saying is not...
In the philosophy of mind, you're saying that's not the case. The majority of philosophers in the philosophy of mind do not believe that human agency is irreducible.
Random. I know this is random, but it's crazy because if you pay attention, they could actually make a good couple because they can argue in a way where it's not fully degrading one another, but actually coming back to the point and talking about the point consistently. She's keeping him on the point as well as he's keeping her on the point when they're having that. I don't know. It's just a great discussion. This is really great. I like this.
Fact.
I think that if they mean it in the compatibilist sense, no, we talk about a field. If they mean it in the compatibilist sense, that might be true. I think that a lot of neuroscientists and a lot of philosophers are like compatibilists, but I don't believe that they believe.
No, they are not.
No, most I know for a fact actually most philosophers don't believe in libertarian free will. That's been like it's been debunked.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it does. Okay,
look that up while you're here. Like true, before you open your mouth in the comments, that is actually 100. She is 100% correct. That is true. They don't believe in libertarian thought.
You're just making shit up right now because this is not even the case of academic.
Look it up.
I actually write academic papers. I actually write books and stuff. So I actually really deal in these circles and I deal with philosophers.
That makes me happy because it must not be that hard. Sorry.
Ad hominem already. Wow. So we're off to a great start.
You called me the R word earlier.
The R word? What?
Yeah, I heard.
Oh. The R word.
I don't know if that's
Oh
supposed
my
to be.
gosh! Oh my gosh!
You guys wanted to
Did
make
your
it all
fifi?
work.
Yeah, did your fifis get hurt?
I didn't say I was hurt.
Well, it sounds like
It
it.
sounds like you were hurt when I ad hominem you.
Well, my point is that it's a logical fallacy.
But I
You
wanna- I
demonstrate.
Yeah, like they make a good couple. But this is a great debate. Great debate, great debate. I really didn't hear, I heard the conversations of morality in there, but it wasn't that much morality conversation. It was really just, well, it was more on free will. Anyways, that was a good debate, y'all. I'm out. Peace.